Order number 1000 is an order of the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission that directed public utilities subject to the FERC's jurisdiction to amend their tariffs in order to include transmission planning and cost allocation principles at a regional and interregional level. Order number 1000 was issued first in the summer of 2011, and there were two rehearing orders, one in May and another one in October of 2012. Order number 1000 has 5 primary goals. The first goal was to clearly define planning regions and the rules for enrollment of entities so they could participate in transmission planning. The second goal was to establish cost allocation principles in the tariffs up front in order to avoid litigation and disputes over who gets to pay for new transmission facilities. And the third goal was to open transmission planning to competition by allowing independent developers to submit projects in the regional plan and in the interregional plan, and to allocate the cost of those projects, if selected in the plan, to all the beneficiaries in the region. The fourth goal was to expand the scope of transmission planning in 2 ways. First, it allowed for consideration of public policy requirements and not only reliability or economic requirements. And public policy requirement could include, for example, a renewable portfolio standard that the state has in place. It also allowed for consideration of non-transmission solutions, such as, for example, a generation project or a storage project. And finally, it facilitated selection of cost-effective projects at a regional and an interregional level. Public utilities were required to file compliance filings with the regional requirements of Order number 1000 in the summer of 2012. They were also required to file compliance filings with the interregional requirements of Order number 1000 in the winter of 2013. FERC has now ruled on most of the compliance filings regarding the regional requirements of Order number 1000, and most regions are currently either implementing right now planning cycles under Order number 1000 or about to start a planning cycle using the Order number 1000 new framework. FERC took a voluntary approach to non-public utility participation in regional and interregional planning. For this reason, Order number 1000 did not obligate non-public utilities to participate in transmission planning or to pay for projects selected in the regional transmission plans. However, it's important to bear in mind a couple of caveats. First, FERC said in Order number 1000 that it will use its authority under Section 211A of the Federal Power Act on a case-by-case basis to force non-public utilities to participate in transmission planning if necessary. Now, whether FERC has the authority, in fact, to do that under Section 211A of the Federal Power Act has not been tested in court. Secondly, it's important to bear in mind reciprocity. A public utility could, in theory, deny transmission service to a non-public utility for not complying with the requirements of Order number 1000. FERC said that there were 3 ways that a non-public utility could comply with the reciprocity condition. First, they could file with FERC a safe harbor tariff and that is in compliance with Order number 1000 and get approval from the Commission. Secondly, they could have a bilateral agreement with the public utility transmission provider that is in compliance with Order number 1000, for example, a participation agreement in a specific planning region. And third, they could obtain a waiver from the public utility for the reciprocity condition.